What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back after a very long international break. It is so good for club football to be back. This international break was painful, not gonna lie. But you know what? I had hockey in between. I've had the Pittsburgh Penguins going. We're a 500 team right now. Great to see Eric Carlson playing for Pittsburgh Penguins. I will be getting a Carlson jersey as soon as possible. But yeah, good to have club football back. Good to have Leeds United back. Let's go. Let's go. Just before I continue, please like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribing. Of course, drop your comments below. Adrian and Chris, thank you for becoming new members. Memberships are in the description if you want to support the channel that way. Really does go a long way financially for myself and the channel. And Mr. P, thank you for the last super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated. And shout out to Cade and shout out to Benny, of course. Yeah, Norwich City versus Leeds United. We've got a game coming up this weekend, which is good. It's going to be good to see Leeds United back again. Looking forward to Premier League football again as well. I'm not going to lie. International football, man, there's too many breaks. And I even said on the last video I submitted that this is the last break until next year. And it's not. There's another one in November, which is just, it's just pointless, man. It's just so pointless. But hey, it is what it is. And money is money. And that's what it all comes down to. Ben here saying, good afternoon, KG. Lovely to hear Nanto back in training. Yeah, there was some good news today. Obviously, some not so good news in terms of Spence being out another 2 weeks. I would love for him to have been back sooner, you know, so we could get Jed Spence in this setup on the right-hand side, leave Byram on the left. But there's still some injuries to go through, and we'll go through that right now. Let's get into it. FARKE today, before he spoke about Archie Gray, by the way, I knew he was going to blow up, and he had another long speech, much like his Perot and conversation. Oh, he had this one in the tuck. He was ready for this. He was not impressed with England under-19's head coach. What's his name? Let me just get that. Simon Rusk. Yeah, he was not impressed with him. So yeah, let's get into it, people. So yeah, sorry, as Ben said, Nanto back in training since last weekend, in contention to travel. Shackleton has also recovered from his shoulder injury. Firpo has started full training earlier this week, but not quite ready. So Firpo won't be available for this game. I think we pretty much knew that. But Nanto, at least, I think Nanto will start on the bench. I don't think he's going to start in the game. I do think he's going to come off the bench at some point, as Daniel FARKE seemed to be very impressed with him in his training this week. Looked like he was sharp, ready to go. So that is great news, by the way, because we need that dimension of Nanto. As many of the wingers that we've got, Nanto gives you something different because he will just drive into the box at every opportunity, something that a lot of the other ones don't. A lot of them try and get a low cross in or something like that. Nanto will drive, and he's a threat for winning free kicks and penalties. So it's great that Willie Nanto is back in first team training, and hopefully we see him this weekend. Shackleton as well. We'll see how Shackleton gets on post this injury. You know, it's one of those things where people before, and I did a video on it maybe a month ago, in terms of Jamie Shackleton, about just holding off people asking for a new contract for him, because we need to see how he gets on a longer term basis. And this is going to be his first test post a shoulder injury. How does he come back into the setup, if he indeed does? Let's have a look here. Dallas as well. That's always a long-term one. He's rejoined training, but he does individual training at times as well, just from the severity of the injuries he's had over the last year. And Spence, as I said earlier, he's got a couple of weeks to go until he resumes full training, but he's doing light work at the moment. But the quicker we can get Jed Spence back, the quicker we get Jed Spence back in this team, we go up another level. 100% we do. And then came the Archie Gray speech. Now, it's always funny when Daniel FARKE goes and says, well, I don't want to say too much, but then you know what's coming. There's a big old epilogue coming. And yeah, he was not impressed. And I understood exactly what he was saying with this. There was just no need for Archie Gray to play 3-4 games. There just wasn't. I understand the Simon Rusk, who's the England under-19 head coach, wants to play his best players. But as Daniel FARKE said many times in this press conference, he doesn't get a better level at this point in time where he is than playing championship football week in, week out. And there's other players in those teams that are not playing full men's football that could have played in a couple of games. So I completely understand. And you don't want to burn out Archie Gray. Where he should be plying his trade most is here. And even today, he hasn't trained yet. I think he said that he sent him to the locker room today to recover. That's not ideal preparation. So it's up in the air for me if we're going to see Archie Gray start this weekend, which is a bummer because that affects us. It affects Leeds United, which is the bread and butter of where Archie Gray should be playing his first team football. But listen, these were just a couple of quotes what Danny Farke said in regards to Archie Gray playing 3 full games. It's difficult to answer. It's about finding the right balance. It's a great honor to represent your country. I don't want to stop this. I don't blame anyone or any manager. You feel the pressure you need to be successful. Farke is saying that in his opinion, first team games for Leeds improve Gray more than youth games for England. Therefore, his minutes should be prioritized domestically. 100% agreed. I'm a big club over country guy anyway because I don't really have a big affiliation to any international team. And club football is where it's at. It's always that question you get, and would you prefer to see your country win the World Cup or your club win the Champions League? Champions League every time, and 12 times on Sunday. You know, one of those. He continued. I'm not sure it makes sense to play that many games for England. We risk injuries and that he's burned out. And he also added that he's in contention for the weekend, but he was limited to a recovery session today rather than full training. And yeah, I can see why he's he's miffed about that. You know, that's one of our key players. You know, and let's just remember as well, just before the international break, Archie, we need you to play at right inverted fullback into midfield. He did it, and he did it very, very well. So if he's out the team, it does make it a little bit more difficult. Maybe we see Gruev. Gruev got game time in for Bulgaria this international break. Does Danny Farke trust him enough to start him in a game like this? He was also asked about his time with Norwich and, his feelings in regards to going back to his old club and everything that he's achieved. Obviously, he says Norwich is a club close to his heart, but he hasn't really thought about it in that way. There was just, again, some very dry questions. In all honesty, there's not much he could have worked with today. He was asked about how he feels about some of the managers he's already faced being out of work. I mean, God, it was brutal. It was brutal, but you can only ask you can only answer what you're asked, can't you? Scott here saying we need Archie fit at all times. We can't be giving Ayling any opportunity to mess up. Yeah, I mean that's it for me. I mean, if Gray is out of the team, obviously it could mean that Gruev comes in with Kamara staying in the team. It could mean that Luke Ayling is back in at right back for this game. But whichever way you're looking at it, with Archie Gray out, the team becomes weaker, which is what we don't need on the first game back from an international break. It's not like it's the midweek game where we need to rotate people. It's the first game back, and we should have all our men that aren't injured fully fit and ready to go, but we're having to manage him now because he's played 3 full games. Ridiculous stuff, really and truly. Yeah, good to see people back. Yeah, I know it's been a while, I know, and it would probably take some time to get into a proper rhythm again. But yeah, the international break, there really wasn't a lot to go on. There wasn't any real news out there, so I just took the time to focus on my family and ice hockey. So I took the time to do other things, but I'm so glad club football's back. Cannot tell you how much. Deshaun here saying I've stopped watching the pressers. Awful questions. Yeah, listen, Deshaun, if I wasn't doing this where I want to get some information from Farke towards the game, I'd probably stop listening to him too, because they've been absolutely woeful. They've been terrible, and I'm not going to name names, obviously, but you just hear the questions that certain ones ask, and it's like, why have you come up with that question? I mean, what significance has it got to Leeds United? I mean, what does it matter? But it is what it is. It is what it is. But Allison here saying going to be a tough game. They're 7th, not so far away from us. And yeah, let's get into that. Allison's is exactly correct. We look at the league table here. Yeah, there's 3 losses in the last 5, but that doesn't really tell a full story. As we know, we're only a couple points above them. The league table in the championship is so deceiving. You hear about Gary Rowett being sacked, and you're thinking, man, What did Rowett do so wrong? They must be near the bottom. And all it is that they may be 15th, 15th in the table, but they're only 3 points away from the playoff spots. The table here is just so misleading. So yeah, it is definitely going to be a tough game. And if we just go through some of their players, obviously a lot of these faces we will know. No, Deshaun, I wouldn't say him. I wouldn't say him. Definitely not. I'm not gonna say though, man. All right, so we got their goalkeepers. We know Angus Gunn is going to be their first choice. Um, Grant Hanley still there, big old brute there. Ben Gibson, same way. Sam McCallum, he's a nice fluid fullback. So if he plays, we got to look out for him. Danny Bath. They got some veteran centre backs here, man. They got some real men back in this defense. They got some real men, good old blocks and everything else like that. But obviously they're the home team, so you're thinking the impetus will be on them to come out and attack us. Jamie, I hear that. Yeah, sanitized presser. I like a bit of personality with my football. I hear that 100%. But what can we do? What can we do? We can only go by what they give us, I'm afraid. Midfield, of course, they got a lot of ingenuity, a lot of creativity in here, a lot of steel as well. Fashnat, Gibbs, Plaqueta, somebody that was, oh no, clicked on the wrong thing. Oh, hold on. I see that's how smooth it's gone. It's been a while, people. Of course, we were linked with Kenny McLean. Thank God that one didn't go through. I was not impressed with that. As you guys remember when we was linked with that one, I was like, oh God, why? Why a 31-year-old Kenny McLean? I wasn't impressed with that at all. So I'm sure he'll be out to prove a point. And of course, there's an old familiar face here. Remember this guy? From the treatment room to Norwich City, Adam Forshaw. So maybe he'll have some part to play. Can't say I'm really concerned. Paul, Adam Forshaw, 30-yard screamer incoming. It would just be the way, wouldn't it? Couldn't hit a barn door for Leeds United, but all of a sudden he'll pop up with a goal. But yeah, oh man, a lot of you are really hammering the presser. Yeah, listen, I hear it, people. The only thing I will say is that certain questions that if you do ask and they're a bit out of bounds, they probably get their access revoked. And there is always the risk of that. So you might as well keep your access. But at the same time, if you haven't got relevant questions, sit it out. Sit it out. You don't always have to ask something, but I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next one. So Adam Forshaw, and let's move on. And of course, they've got the wily old veteran here, Ashley Barnes. He can be a problem. Adam Ida, who's a decent forward, and of course, we know all about Josh Sargent. In terms of we've been linked with him before, especially when Jesse Marshall's here. Can everyone see me all right? I am trying something new here in terms of not plugging out my internet, but I think I may have to plug it back in. Let me know if you can still hear me okay and everything else like that. But yeah, so they are not the worst team in the league. They're actually a pretty decent outfit, and for me will be in and around that playoff picture. So it's going to be a tough away game. It's going to be a tough away game. So he was also asked today about Jaden Anthony and Dan James. I'm not sure why that was being asked because, of all the things we keep hearing about Jaden Anthony, he's only a lone player, people. I'm sorry, but priority goes to the players that we've signed unless the lone player is absolutely outstanding like a Jed Spence, who is easily cutting above anything that we've got at fullback on the right-hand side. But when you're talking about a winger where he isn't clear of Dan James, he's not clear of Somerville, he's not clear of Nanto, you have to prioritize the players that you've got. And somebody messaged me on Instagram and shout out to you. He was like, if Jane Anthony's return, do we get Sinistera back? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. And there might not be a break clause in Jaden Anthony's loan deal. I don't know that, and I don't know if anybody else knows that, but Sinistera won't be coming back even if Jaden Anthony's return. It just doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. So yeah, for me, Dan James, and we saw again, Dan James was impressive on international duty for what that's worth. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in regards to those positions. Fully expect Nanto to be on the bench, but it's going to be a tough game, and especially if Archie Gray has to sit this one out. I like the pairing of Kamara and Ampadu. I think they've worked really well. I expect Sam Byram to start left back and do his thing, keep improving in that position. So yeah, and Ina, useless presses to be fair. And Ina, I saw on social media it's going to be your birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday to you, Ina, for tomorrow. All right. And Jamie here saying maybe Norwich will rise to the occasion, show a bit of pride. I do. I think that there'll be a lot. You know, you look at some of those players there. There's some new players for Norwich, but there's still some that used to play for Daniel FARKE. You know, they'll get up for Leeds United. Of course they will. You know, it's not really a rivalry between Norwich and Leeds, except for that time where Norwich was stealing all our players. But yeah, I think they will get up for this game, and they'll be looking to make an impression as well to cement themselves in the top six. Yeah, Deshaun, my guy Dan James. Listen, are you there? Are you there now, or are you still on the fence? But you can't argue with the goal and assist that he's been given, man. He's getting the goal involvements, man. So yeah, I envision this to be a tough game. So you know what, people, let's get into score prediction. Of course, if you're watching the replay, put your score predictions in the comments as well. I'm going to say this is don't lose the game. Don't lose the game. It's not the end of the world if we lose. And I'm not, you know, that sounds so loserous. I'm going to take that back. Don't lose the game. So I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And that's only because of the fact that we may not be at full strength as much as we should be or could be for this game, where, you know, we've already got Jed Spence out, which we already knew, but the Archie Gray wrinkle also brings something unique as well. Let's go then. Allison's going 2-2. Jamie going 2-1 Leeds. Paul also going 2-1. Diggler going 3-1 Leeds. Yeah. Karen saying 2-1 Leeds. Ben saying 3-2. Deshaun going 3-0. Yeah. Yeah. Not a clean sheet at Norwich. That would be a brilliant result, to be fair, if you got a clean sheet at this one. I know we're doing well with the clean sheets and everything, but this attack is a little bit better than what we've faced, I think, so far. Southampton aside, you know, these guys have got a few more dangers in their attack than what we've seen from QPR and those kind of teams. So if we can get a clean sheet here, awesome. But for me, the key thing is let's not lose this game and then roll into the game against Stoke and then get the 3 points there. Ina here going 3-1 Leeds also. Okay, so a lot of away wins. I like it. I do hope we win. Of course, I don't just want a draw. I want the 3 points, and I want the momentum that we got from before the break, the 2 wins in a row, to carry on post the international break. But this is going to be a tough game. But if we get 3 points here, that will be a statement of intent 100%. So yeah, listen, people, I'm going to end it there. This isn't a very long one today, I know, but I will be back after the game against Norwich, and we'll go through the match reaction together. Please, before you go, you know the drill, people. Please hit a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and of course, drop your comments, drop your score predictions down below, and I'll see you Saturday, people. Let's go, Leeds. Let's get the 3 points. Let's march on. Peace out, people.